There's a hierarchy in every room. Most just don't see it. But the powerful do. They look once and already know who matters, who can be ignored, and who has already erased themselves. They're not watching the loud ones. They're watching the quiet ones. Not the calm, but the invisible. The ones who fold before they've even spoken, and they never get a second look. Machiavelli never wrote for the masses. He wrote for the few, the ones who understood. Power notices power, and overlooks everything else. And the things that make you ignorable, they're not loud, they're habits. Quiet ones, ones you carry every day. Let's begin. 1. You point inward. You walk into a room like you're hoping no one sees you, like you're trespassing, like you've already decided you don't belong. Your body folds, your breath shortens, your presence shrinks before you've even said a word. You think you're being respectful. But what they see is a man erasing himself in real time. They don't hate you. They just look past you, like you're part of the furniture. The powerful? They walk in like they've already been there, like they're owed nothing, but expect everything. They don't ask for space. They create it with posture, with silence, with certainty. You point inward. They radiate out. You make yourself smaller, hoping to offend no one. They take their full shape, afraid of nothing. And here's the truth. No one notices the man who lowers his eyes. No one remembers the man who holds his breath. You were taught humility, but the room doesn't reward humility. It rewards presence, weight, stillness that doesn't flinch. You want to matter? Then stop walking like an apology. Start walking like the floor was built for your feet. 2. Your voice asks permission. You speak, but not like you mean it. You trail off. You add, I could be wrong. Just my opinion. Does that make sense? You lace your sentences with apology. Not in words, always, but in tone. In the way your voice climbs at the end. Like a question, not a statement. You sound like you're asking to speak, as if every word needs a stamp of approval. The powerful don't hear your ideas. They hear your hesitation. And that's all they need to filter you out. Because people don't follow the smartest voice. They follow the one that doesn't flinch. You were taught to sound polite, but the world doesn't reward polite. It rewards certainty. Machiavelli said, speech is a blade. Use it clean. Cut once. Don't wobble. Don't circle back. Train your voice to be still. Low, flat, final. Let the sentence stop when it's over. Let the silence hang. Don't rush to fill it, because here's the truth. When you sound like you need approval, no one gives it. But when your voice carries weight, measured, sharp, controlled, they listen. Not because they agree, but because they feel they should. And that is what power sounds like. 3. You laugh too soon. You laugh when it's not funny. Not because you find it amusing, but because you're trying to survive the moment, trying to smooth it over, trying to show you're not a threat. But laughter is never neutral. It's a signal, a tell. When it comes too early, too easily, it says, I'll do what it takes to stay accepted. I'd rather be liked than respected. I'll trade dignity for comfort. The powerful don't miss that. They test with tone, a jab, a sarcastic dig, a comment with edge. Then they wait. Not to see if you're hurt, but to see if you'll flinch with a smile, if you'll laugh to stay in the room. When you do, you mark yourself, not as equal, not as threat, as soft, as easy to keep under. You think laughter keeps you safe? It doesn't. It just makes you easier to manage. So don't laugh when it's not earned. Don't smile at disrespect. Don't smirk through insult. Let silence carry the tension. Let it stretch. Let it burn, if it needs to. Because when you don't react, they don't know where you stand. And when they don't know, they stop testing. They start respecting. That's how presence is built. Not through approval, but through stillness. 4. You explain everything. They ask you something. You answer, but you don't stop. You circle back. Add a story, a reason, a softener. Another angle, just in case. You're not helping. You're unraveling. You think the more you explain, the more they'll understand. But they don't hear clarity. They hear uncertainty. They hear you trying to convince even yourself. Power doesn't explain. It states, then waits. Every extra sentence you add is a signal. I don't think this stands on its own. I don't trust you to respect what I said unless I pad it. So they don't respect it. You become background noise. A man narrating his own thoughts like he's trying to be liked instead of believed. You don't need more words. You need fewer, sharper. Wait it. Say what needs to be said. Then stop. Let the pause do what the paragraph couldn't. Let the silence echo. Let them sit with what you said. Because when you stop explaining, you start commanding. And when they want more, they'll ask. But they only ask if you give them something clean, solid, and worth leaning in for. Presence isn't built by detail. It's built by restraint. 5. You wait to be invited. You sit in the meeting, in the circle, at the table. You've got something to say. But you wait. You wait for a glance, a break in the noise, somebody to clear the lane for you, someone to say, "Go ahead." They won't, because the world doesn't open the door for the unsure. It doesn't clear space for the man who hesitates. You think it's polite? They see it for what it is. Submission. An unspoken plea. Let me exist here. Validate me. Say I'm allowed. Machiavelli had a word for that. Dependence. And dependence kills presence. You're not asking, is it my turn? You're asking, am I allowed to matter? And the answer is always no if you have to ask. Stop waiting. No announcements. No build-up. Just speak. Once. With weight. Say something clear, sharp, measured. Then go quiet again. Let the room absorb it. Let your presence echo after your mouth has closed. Because the ones who wait are forgotten, and the ones who speak without needing permission. They change the tone of the room. Not because they say more, but because when they speak, it's impossible to ignore. 6. You apologize for having standards. You say no, but not really. You soften it. You add why. You give a reason, then a second, then a window for negotiation. You think you're being fair? They see a line drawn in sand. One that can be pushed, redrawn, erased. You're not protecting your standards. You're asking permission to keep them. Power doesn't do that. Power draws a line and stands behind it. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't explain. You say, I just don't have time. They hear, convince me, and I'll fold. You say, I'm not comfortable with that. But your tone says, please don't be upset. Every time you justify a boundary, you water it down. You make it optional, and nothing optional is respected. Say no, and mean it. Say no, and leave it there. No footnotes, no apologies, no side door excuses. Because silence after a standard is what gives it weight. People don't respect boundaries that come with a backstory. They respect the ones that sound like law. Clean, cold, final. You don't have to defend your limits. You just have to live them like they're not up for debate. Because if they are, you've already lost. 7. You praise too much. You hand out compliments like candy. Great point. Love that. brilliant idea. You think it builds rapport, but what it builds is suspicion. People don't trust praise that comes too easy because they know what it means. You want something, acceptance, comfort, position. You're not seen as warm. You're seen as eager to fit, eager to be liked. And the powerful don't need to be liked. They need to be respected. Machiavelli didn't flatter. He rewarded. Carefully, strategically. Praise, when used right, carries weight. But when you say amazing every 5 minutes, nothing feels amazing anymore. So hold it back. Let them earn it. Make it cost you something. And when you finally give it, when you say, "That was sharp," after long silence, they'll feel it, not as approval, but as impact, because what's rare has power, and what's constant gets ignored. 8. You mirror everything. You nod when they nod. You laugh when they laugh. You use their words, their pace, their tone. You think it's connection. It's not. It's disappearance. You dissolve into whoever's across from you. You trade your edges for approval. And the powerful notice. They see someone who bends before being asked. Someone who shapeshifts on instinct. Someone who fears friction. But friction is where respect begins. No one respects the man who always agrees, who always adapts, who always fits. They don't see you as easygoing. They see you as replaceable. Because anything that changes shape to stay accepted isn't worth holding on to. So stop matching their rhythm. Keep your own. Even if it lands rough. Even if it draws silence. Let there be tension. Let it sit. Because presence isn't about smoothness, it's about solidity. And only people who stand their ground, even quietly, even awkwardly, get taken seriously. 9. You thank too soon. You walk in with a smile and say, "Thanks for having me. Appreciate your time." It sounds polite, but it lands wrong. Because the moment you thank them, before you've said a word of substance, you've placed yourself beneath them. Gratitude is good. But gratitude too early is surrender. You think it shows respect, but what it shows is need. That you feel lucky to be in the room. That you think they did you a favor. And if that's the frame, you never get it back. They'll see you as someone who's grateful to be tolerated, not someone who deserves to be heard. So don't lead with thanks, lead with presence, walk in level, speak your mind, stand your ground. If gratitude fits if it seals something earned, then say it. Once. Clean. But never thank someone for letting you exist, because the moment you do, you shrink, and they won't pull you back up. They'll just agree. 10. You need emotional safety. You walk in, and your eyes start searching, looking for someone safe, someone who might smile back, someone who won't challenge you. You speak, then adjust mid-sentence. Soften the edge. Backpedal. Make sure no one's uncomfortable. You read faces, not the moment. You think you're keeping peace. You're not. You're cleaning up tension that wasn't yours to fix. You fear discomfort. In others, in yourself, in the room. So you smooth it out with words, with pleasantries, with politeness that goes too far. But real power, it doesn't blink in discomfort. It doesn't flinch when silence stretches too long. It says the thing that stings, then waits, not to apologize, but to watch what truth does when left alone in the air. Machiavelli knew this. The man who fears tension will always work for the one who doesn't. Because power doesn't chase harmony. It creates gravity. And gravity doesn't care who feels nervous. So stop making people feel okay. Start letting moments breathe, even when they burn a little. You'll know you've crossed into presence when people start choosing their words more carefully around you. Not because you demand it, but because they can feel you won't cushion what comes next. 11. You shrink your body. You sit small, arms crossed, legs tucked in, spine curved like you're trying to disappear. You think it makes you less noticeable. It does, but not in the way you want. You don't look humble. You look like you don't belong. Before you speak, your body already spoke for you. And it said, "I'm not worth space. I'm not here to be seen." You could say the smartest thing in the room. It won't matter if your posture whispers fear. Power doesn't shrink. It expands. Slowly, calmly. It doesn't fidget. It doesn't fold. It doesn't make itself easy to miss. Sit like you belong. Like the chair was made for you. Like the moment isn't too big. Let your hands rest open, shoulders wide, feet planted. Still, and when the room looks at you, don't blink, don't shift, hold, because the body trains the mind, and once your body claims space, your voice follows. And so does presence. 12. You think intentions matter. You say, "I meant well." You say, "That wasn't my intention," but no one cares. Because intentions don't leave an imprint. Signals do. You walk into a room hoping they'll feel your sincerity. But sincerity doesn't project. It doesn't fill space. It doesn't hold weight. People don't judge you by what you meant. They judge you by what you delivered. And if your delivery is soft, hesitant, unsure, then that's what they remember. You think your good heart will carry you. It won't. Not here. Not with people who trade in posture, tone, presence. You're polishing your motives, trying to make them shine. But no one's looking there. They're watching how you stand, how you speak, how you move when pressure enters the room. So stop defending your soul. Start commanding the air. Clarity over kindness. Conviction over comfort. If you want to be taken seriously, stop explaining who you are inside. Start showing it, without apology, without softness, without asking to be understood. 13. You think influence is earned. You keep your head down, do the work, play by the rules. You wait for permission, for a tap on the shoulder, for someone to say, "Now it's your time." But no one's coming, because influence doesn't work that way. The powerful aren't scanning for merit. They're scanning for presence, for posture, for the quiet certainty of someone who's already chosen themselves. You think it's about being good enough. It's not. It's about moving like you already are. Not arrogant, not loud, just still, certain. They don't ask, "Has he earned it?" They just feel it in how you carry the room, and how you speak like your voice belongs there, and how you don't wait to be invited. You're already seated. Influence isn't given, it's claimed, then carried like a fact, like breath, like gravity. So stop hoping to be seen. Stop waiting to be chosen. Walk like the ground owes you nothing, but still rises to meet your feet, because the world doesn't reward the deserving. It rewards the undeniable. The final. You weren't born invisible. You trained yourself to be. With every flinch, every nervous laugh, every habit meant to protect, you erased a little more. But now you see them, all 13. Micro-surrenders, soft landings, things you thought were polite, harmless. They weren't. They were signs. And the powerful read signs like instincts. You don't need to become arrogant. You need to become undeniable. Speak less, hold more, don't adjust. Let them feel the weight of your stillness. That's presence. That's gravity. And gravity doesn't ask for space. It claims it. without ever making a sound.